Welcome to CityWise. I'm your host, Tiana Stevens. CityWise is produced by the City of Rochester to shine a spotlight on city living at its best. At the corner of Genesee and Arnett, there's a white house with a storefront addition and glass block windows that stands out among the surrounding houses at this corner in Southwest Rochester. Inside is teen empowerment, and the work being done here by the people behind the doors stands out in the neighborhood. Teen Empowerment is a unique youth organizing project that brings young people together to find ways to make positive impacts on issues affecting youth in Rochester. And joining us today is Doug Ackley, Director of Programs, and Adam Johnson, Youth Organizer at Teen Empowerment. Thank you both for joining us today.
Thanks.
And Doug, let's start with you. Give us the history behind Teen Empowerment Rochester.
So we're actually an organization that's based originally out of Boston. We started in Boston in the early 90s, and I started with the organization back then in about 92, 93, and we hire young people from their neighborhoods to look at the issues that they face and organize. And we had some pretty serious issues that we were facing in Boston in the early 90s with gang violence, and as Teen Empowerment, we hired young people right off the street to start to work on those issues. And I've been working there for about 21 years now. I happened to move up to Rochester 11 years ago and brought the organization with me. And as I came here, I just saw a lot of similar issues that this city was facing that I knew that we had made an impact in Boston, and wanted to see how that would work here in the landscape of Rochester as well.
Okay. How exactly does the Teen Empowerment model work?
So we're based in a neighborhood, and here it's, as you said, southwest quadrant of Rochester right now. We hope to get to a citywide presence with our neighborhood-based sites at some point, but we hire young people from their neighborhood, a group of youth every year between the ages of 14 and 20. It's a paid position. They work in the position of youth organizer. As you mentioned, Adam's one of our youth organizers. They work in a group every day to look at the issues that youth face in the community, and then start organizing events, activities, and projects to impact those issues in positive ways. So that's the scope of the program, is they look at how they organize young people in the community and be able to work with adults who make policies as well, because you can't just organize the youth without integrating the work that adults are doing on similar levels.
Sure.
We also bring people from all walks of life too. It's not just people with good grades or people with that work good with other people. Like it's more of a different people from different walks of life that's bringing different ideas to the table, because I mean, without diversity it would be like all the same things.
Yeah, what made you want to get involved with Teen Empowerment?
I first wanted to get involved with Teen Empowerment because it's doing stuff in the community where I live, and every community needs that, that spark, something where kids can go places and do things and go to events that's positive. Everything has to be on a neutral ground when it comes to kids and kids living in the same community. Because if I'm pretty sure a lot of kids know a lot of kids in the community, but we want to bring them together because great things happen when people come together. So,
is that how you found out about Teen Empowerment? Through word of mouth?
Yeah, through word of mouth.
Okay. Then what was the application process? What did you have to do to join?
I would say every year hundreds of kids, like up to 300 kids a year maybe, apply for the job, and we do group interviews. Like what we do during the day when we get hired is how the interviews are. Like there's no separate, everybody's together. We do a warm-up question, we do interactives, and we get to know each other. And basically it's we pick Doug picks maybe 10 people, depending and the staff, and depending on the funding that they have for that year, 10 to 12 people, and based on how they do in the interviews, what stood out about them, what walks of life they came from, that's what kind of determines who gets the job. And sometimes I know Doug always tells me they go through hard decisions with 300 kids and only 12 gets hired. So it's something about you that really has to really stand out in the community. So it's like, it's not just they just picked anybody. It's like the best kids they felt fit for the job.
You mentioned Icebreakers as a way to break down barriers and for the kids, the workers, to get to know each other. How important are those, and what's an example of what an icebreaker at Teen Empowerment would look like?
we wouldn't. I don't want to call it an icebreaker. I would call it interactive, because the icebreaker is like, hey, my name is, and or something that implies your name. But us, we do interactives, like getting people together, get people moving around, and we have a select few games that I like the most. One I like the most is like the wind blows, and you're constantly moving. Like, okay, the wind blows for somebody who brushed their teeth this morning. You got to get up. You got to move this way. You can't move 2 seats. You have to move at least 2 seats from where you were sitting. So it's like you have to move. You're next to somebody different every time. So, it's like, yeah, now I know what this person smells like. I know this person, so it's just like that. I'm next to different people every time. So.
We actually have a book that's called Moving Beyond Icebreakers that we put together, teen empowerment, because the interactive model is really crucial to not only how people come and interact, but we use them every day as a learning tool. So like Adam mentioned, the wind blows, and we just did this in a psychology class yesterday for college students, and we talked about how people feel when they get left out. And we looked at how when you get in front of a room, you have an opportunity to lead, and that's what we do at Teen Empowerment. We give young people that position in the front of the room where normally they might see themselves in the back of the room, and it's a different kind of perspective on things when you have an opportunity to lead things and kind of make the wind blow in a direction that you want to see. So we use those things every day as more than just an icebreaker, and that's why the book that we have is called Moving Beyond Icebreakers, and we do a lot of trainings around the community and use them in different ways.
Adam, what do you think are the toughest issues facing Rochester's youth today?
The toughest issues I would say poverty, youth jobs, and I would say kids, not kids taking the wrong path, but kids bored, so they go to do things, like without jobs. It's like, okay, I feel like if kids have jobs, they have less time to be out in the street or doing something they don't really have any business doing, or something they normally wouldn't do if they were at work. So like our main focus this year, well, we're starting this year actually, we don't know how long it's going to take, hopefully sooner than later, but we're starting like a youth jobs seminar where we find out how many jobs are in the Southwest community. We find out who's hiring youth. If they're not hiring youth, we're going to talk to them and try to see what possible things could they have for youth, because I feel like if you're at work, I mean, how much time do you have to be outside? And you got to be real energetic to go to work for this many hours and then still want to go do something else, because usually after I get off work, I'm tired. I want to go home. I want to hang out with my family. So I think jobs open up opportunities for kids that the streets wouldn't.
And the opportunities at Teen Empowerment is twofold, because you're actually getting paid for doing this sort of work, and it's also rewarding. You're out in the community helping others. What are some of the other projects that Teen Empowerment is currently working on?
Earlier in the year, we did a open mic. We do a couple. We were actually working on projects like back to back, just like not just one. Right now we're working on the talent show. We have a talent show coming up May 2nd. So through April we're gonna have auditions, and the talent show is gonna be at Wilson, I believe, across the street from Teen Empowerment. And we also, as a group, we're also meeting with the police, and we're doing youth police dialogue, and just doing stuff that will open up more. It will stop the friction between, police and youth just by starting with us. So like we're doing that, and then we're meeting with people about jobs. So it's a couple things that we're doing. We're kind of doing a lot.
Why do you think it's so important for youth to have a voice in decisions that are made in this community? Either one.
Because in the long run, they affect the youth. So for us to not have a voice would be like when it's our turn to take on the decisions that were made by grown-ups, it's like, well, we really don't want to do this, so now we're gonna rebel against this, or we're gonna, this not what we want to do. We're gonna do what we want to do. We don't care what they made up. So youth having a voice in what's going on would help stop a rebellion or kids just not wanting to do what was set for them in the future, because nobody likes to be, their future to be set out for them where they don't have any wiggle room and being able to move.
I think as adults sometimes too, we think that we have all the answers for what young people need because we were young people at one time. Number one, what adults do, they tend to forget what it was like to be young, and that's a really difficult thing. So we try to stay really connected at least to what our experience was, but then every generation is really different. The things that these guys are dealing with as young people today are very different than what our adults were dealing with as young people. Everything from social media and technology, we didn't have any of that. And so for us to be able to prescribe the solutions to some of the issues in the community that young people are facing as adults, we're missing a crucial element, which is their voice, their experiences. They know what's going on, they know what they need, and so if we don't give them a legitimate opportunity to be at the table, they're going to tell us things in maybe very different ways than we want to hear, and that comes out sometimes in the form of some of the violence that we see in the community. Young people are saying something to us, and when we don't listen to their actual voices, they're going to speak to us in other ways, and they're going to try to get themselves heard. And unfortunately, I think it's sometimes in ways that we don't want to see. They're more destructive kinds of ways. When we start to open up real dialogue and incorporate their input into, policies and solutions that actually are then going to impact them, starts to change the way that they feel about themselves and the way that they feel about how the city wants to include them. So it's a crucial piece.
And teen empowerment recently experienced some of that violence on the street firsthand with the death of Lawrence Richardson. Tell us about Lawrence Richardson.
Lawrence was an amazing friend and youth organizer, and just a guy that was dear to our heart. I mean, he came in with a spark in his eye and a very shy, nervous personality, and developed into a great leader among young people and among adults in the community, with just a real vibrant personality that I can picture in so many different ways. And he continued his work past the time that he was a youth organizer, and continued to come back and work with young people and mentor them through the organization. And Lawrence, like a lot of other young people too, was struggling to kind of figure himself out. And I think because we don't take the time to work with young people who are out there on the street, when we don't spend that time on them, they take actions into their own hands, and apparently nobody was working with the young man or young men who shot Lawrence, because things could have been really different right now had we had him here in this community.
And his voice continues to be heard. You mentioned the open mic sessions, and that was one of his talents, and so there was a lot of material of Lawrence performing, and actually what Teen Empowerment did following his death was something very powerful. And we have a video to show you. It's an open letter to the killer of Lawrence Richardson.
Hello everyone, my name is Lawrence Richardson, and the speech I'm about to read to you is called What I've Been Through. Why was you losing your life while I was on the verge of losing mine? You telling me life is too short to throw it away in a blink of an eye. It's real hard to try to figure out the world by yourself. I mean, it's real hard to try to get something when you've got nothing. There are a lot of barriers out there that just make you want to give up. But I didn't. There are so many young people out here with nothing. I'm not saying that poverty makes you commit crimes, but growing up with all the issues that poverty can create makes it hard to find opportunities out there that even make you feel like you can be something. First, my brother goes to jail. Then, my dad. Imagine losing contact with the one that you always ran to for help, advice, or to keep you safe. I was staying out late, staying away from home, drinking, smoking, doing all the things that I thought would keep my mind off of how I felt. Pretty soon, I was out of school, in the streets and selling drugs. It was just a matter of time before I got myself locked up too and lost 2.5 years of my entire life. Sometimes they see little kids there and think, this kid has no chance. We don't have no chance, but it does become very hard to get what we need to succeed. We might look tough, even act tough, but most of us are hurt, scared and don't know what else to do.
I have a choice to change. I won't be the same. The choice I made it. So what if I messed up in the past? I look to the future. I can and I will change it because I'm not the same Lawrence as yesterday's Lawrence.
But I thought about it. Once I retaliate on him, who's gonna get me? So I'm stopping the cycle. That won't be me.
So it's a very, very powerful message there. A little bit of hope, though, for for our youth. What are your hopes for teen empowerment this year, the next 10 years? What are your long-term goals?
Well, number one, I think that, just as that video showed, I mean, one of the things that we're dedicated to is youth voice, and I think even through Lawrence's death, teen empowerment, his family, his friends, we try to find a way to continue the message that he left with us, and let's see if as a community we can actually deliver on that. Because as Lawrence said, there's a lot of young men out here who are hurt every day, and we need to be able to deal with that hurt. So I think that, part of it is looking at the underlying issues in our community, racism and classism and the way that our divides and segregation in Rochester set people up for failure. And so we're going to try to work on that issue by giving young people real power. That's one thing. We'll continue to get youth voice out to start to, as Adam said, open up jobs in the community, open up opportunities for young people to be able to, in the city, to be able to start on the same playing field as young people in surrounding communities. And we need to get back to a citywide presence through these neighborhood-based sites. Yes, we're on Genesee Street. We're working to have an impact in Southwest Rochester. We need to do the same thing in the Northeast and the Northwest and other areas of the city where young people are struggling in the same way to get themselves heard or to find their position in life. And I think that we have something to offer in terms of what that position might look like.
Mm-hmm. Now, with the youth talent shows, you embrace teens using their words, using art, song, poetry to express themselves. How does that help with them? And is it, are they shy at first, or is it a nice outlet for them to express themselves?
I believe that it's a great outlet to express yourself, because that's what I do. I actually write poetry. I actually write music, and when that time when nobody really wants to listen to you, or there's nobody, to listen to you, it's like, who can I talk to? Well, how about I write this down and I can just, talk to myself. I'm gonna write it down, I'm gonna get it all out instead of going on the street taking my anger out on somebody else that has nothing to do with my anger, which most, crime comes from, just misunderstood teens, misunderstood kids in general. So I feel like it's a great way to just open up and tell people, like, this is me, this is how I feel. And the way teen empowerment does things, for me opening up, somebody else can come to me, open up, like, yo, that really touched me, and they can connect because they might have something in common that I said. But me telling everybody, and I got somebody in common now, Now I can, okay, we got something in common. We can go through this together. Now I got somebody to talk to. Instead of just letting it stay in and build all up, it makes it easier. Like, okay, we can get through this together. Now you just made a friend, you know.
And Adam, you're 17 years old, and you're busy with high school, getting ready to graduate, but yet teen empowerment keeps you just equally as busy. What's a typical day like for you?
Oh man, well, I count it bi-weekly. Like Mondays are always feedback and evaluation. So what that is it's feedback for something that you did prior to that week, or something that stood out about you the week prior to that Monday. And I hate Mondays, so it just tacks on to why everybody doesn't like Monday. To me, that's just my opinion. But basically, we just explain to each other. It's not like a fighting session, or like we're snapping at each other's session. It's like, okay, it could be good advice, bad advice. It's just the way that we say things to each other. It keeps us together. And at TE, everybody's like a family. It's not like co-workers. We're not co-workers. We're brothers and sisters. So it's like, okay, last week you did this. You know, I like that you did this. So it's like we do strengths and we do growth areas that you could grow in. So, you know, it just helps us. Like we talk to each other, and we you know, find ways to try to help each other. And then we do contract. Contract is like, I would say on a normal job, that would be a write-up. But for us, it's like, you know, missing days of work without, you know, calling, and lack of motivation. It's more behind the contract than it is just a normal job. Like, this job helps kids more than just for the real world, but for life, like their life. You know, maybe they're going through something that can be helped by just coming to work, and okay, you did this last week, and if you feel some type of way about something that somebody else said, then you could just go to them and you can let them know what's going on. So it's more like a group. It's like I don't count my TE team as co-workers. We're a group. We're a family. So, you know, but Tuesdays are just like any normal day. Whatever we're working on at that time. Like right now, we're doing police youth dialogues. We're getting ready for the talent show. So writing pieces, you know, we're gonna start writing pieces soon. And you know, it's just, we're busy all day. You know what I mean? It's like we don't just come to work and sit in a circle and talk all day. It's just like we come to work, you know, we got our warm-up question, then we got our interactive. We break down the interactive and, you know, basically say what that interactive was about. And the interactive always goes with what we're doing. Like if we're doing the talent show, maybe we'll do like a name, talent, motion. You know what I mean? So then we'll break it down and why do we do this? So it's something behind everything that we do. Like we don't just do interactives and okay, interactive, now go to this. Like we break it down and tell why we did this. And so it's just,
sounds like communication is the key.
Yes.
And I know you guys have another big event that you're planning for, and kind of help some of the programs going. It's a fundraising event. Do you want to tell us about the luncheon, Doug?
Yeah, sure. So a few years ago, we started this luncheon to do a little bit of, I guess, friend raising and fundraising, you know, for the organization. We need to get the word out about what we do. We're a small organization. I mean, we have 3 full-time staff and 1 part-time staff. That's our staff. So we need to be able to expand, and we need to be able to get the word out about what we do. So we started this community-wide luncheon, and you know, the first year we had over 400 people, and so we've continued this every year. This is our 4th year doing this. It's May 8th. It's a Thursday. It's 11:30 to 1:30 at the convention center. Tickets are $50 each. And I think we do it in the spirit of what we do everything else, the way we do everything else, like Adam explained. There'll be young people speaking and talking about the work that we do, and we'll take the opportunity to both inspire, educate, and motivate those who come as well to get involved, stay involved in this community and in teen empowerment and organizations like that, so that we can continue to do really important work of providing young people with, stepping stones and opportunities to be our leaders now and in the future. So, I hope that people can come out to that luncheon and find a way to connect with us and support the work that we're doing and the young people are doing in the community, because it's important work. Okay, and Adam, finally, you mentioned that you're going off to college soon, but that you said something interesting. You said that you want to stay in Rochester.
Yes.
Why is that? Just real quickly.
I seem to hear like a lot of my peers say, when I graduate school, I want to go to this college or that college. I want to get out of Rochester. And, you know what I'm saying? I think they focus so much on what they don't like about Rochester and not realizing that they were raised here. You live here. This is where your family, this is where your friends is. So me going to college, I started college in September. I'm going for a 2-for-2 program, Finger Lakes and University of Buffalo.
We ran out of time, but it's been wonderful speaking to you guys. And more about teen empowerment, you can visit teenempowerment.org. Thanks for joining us on CityWise.